Here are the top stories for today, August 12, 2019. The government hits lawmakers Teddy Casiño and Sara Elago for defending the recruitment of students and minors by leftist groups. The PNP cites the drop in the crime rate as a sign that the government's war on drugs is successful. President Duterte calls on Filipinos to value submission to authority as the Muslim community celebrates Eid-ul-Adha. And about 4.1 million tourists entered the country in the first half of 2019. Good day, I'm wrongdoings. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story, a ranking official of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict scored Bayan Muna Representative Teddy Casiño and Kabataan Party Representative Sara Elago for defending and justifying efforts of progressive groups that allegedly recruit students and minors to boost their ranks. The two militant group leaders said students joining militant groups are getting exposed to the issues and problems affecting the country and are thus realizing their obligations as citizens. But for NTF-LCAC Chief Major General Antonio Parlade, Casiño is bound to support the militant group being a scholar of Bayan Muna during his student days. Casiño and Elago are said to agitate the students from being plain activists into becoming more violent activists by recruiting them deeper into the underground mass organizations and becoming CPP candidates and full-time party member. Parlade says this is what happened to activists who wanted to become good leaders such as Miles Albasin. Albasin is a UP student who ended up with criminal records after being tagged as communist rebel. She and other members of a group called Mabinay 6 are currently detained in a Vice City jail pending the verdict on illegal possession of firearms lodged against them. The Department of the Interior and Local Government vows assistance in locating the students allegedly recruited by leftist organizations following the outcry of their parents. DILG Secretary Eduardo Año made this promise as he warned parents against the active recruitment of leftist organizations in schools and universities nationwide. He said parents must be vigilant and involved in guarding their children since these communist terrorist groups have little to no regard for the lives of the youth. There are around 500 to 1,000 youths being indoctrinated by the CPP-NPA every year who either become a member of the NPA or return to their respective schools as militant student leaders. He said the Philippine National Police has already initiated the filing of cases against the front organizations identified through the Senate hearing and in the government's own intelligence and investigations. Another measure being eyed by the DILG is police presence in infiltrated schools and universities to deter the recruitment program of leftist groups. A veteran military man on Saturday urged House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano to expel Kabataan Party Representative Sara Elago from the House for advocating communist ideology. In his Facebook post, Dan Jimenez, veteran member of the Philippine Navy and alumnus of Philippine Military Academy Batch 77, accused Elago of actively recruiting the youth to join the CPP-NPA-NDF. He said since Elago is a member of Congress, she is expected to protect and defend the Philippine Constitution. Jimenez also scored congressmen for ignoring the cries of parents whose children have disappeared after joining the communists. He said a sitting member of Congress can be removed by a 2/3 vote of its membership. The PNP says total crime volume in the Philippines declined, and a transport group aims to modernize tricycles in the country. More on this from Joyce Scudis.
The Philippine National Police says it remains relentless in its campaign to wipe out illegal drugs in the country. A report shows that the total crime volume decreased from more than 626,000 in June 2016 to 58,276 in June 2017. PNP Chief General Oscar Albayaldes says they effectively sustained the decline in the crime rate with their intensified operations, particularly against the 8 focus crimes: murder, homicide, physical injury, rape, robbery, theft, carnapping of motor vehicles and motorcycles. In other news, a transport group on Saturday called for the modernization of tricycles plying the inner roads in the country to give commuters convenience while traveling and protect the environment as well. They hailed the diesel run and Euro 4 compliant tricycle launched by Piaggio, the Italian manufacturer of the famous Vespa scooter. The modern tricycle ranges from 180,000 to 218,000 pesos with seating capacity of 8 people. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said that the alleged Chinese ship which docked off Subic Bay is a former Japanese vessel acquired and converted into a yacht by a businessman based in the area. The ship was seen anchored off Subic Bay early Sunday. Further verification showed that the ship used to be the Japanese research and survey vessel Tankai Maru. SBMA Administrator Lawyer Ami Isma also confirmed that the yacht is registered in Subic as the Balena 2. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Joyce Goodies.
Still to come, President Duterte calls on Filipinos to value submission to authority as the Muslim community celebrates Idil-Adha. The Army vows to hold activities that will protect the youth from deception and recruitment by the communist movement. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
True or false? The Philippines was discovered by Ferdinand Magellan in 1521. Answer: false. The Philippines was not discovered by Magellan. Groups of pre-Hispanic indigenous peoples had settled various parts of the country, and indigenous cultures had already been flourishing well before the 15th century. Indigenous women spent hours thinking up complex and meaningful textile patterns. The Mangyan were already creating ambahan or poetry, usually etched on bamboo. The Kankanae buried their dead in hanging coffins to bring them closer to the sky or God. This was the rich tapestry that, in a series of colonizations, Spain and America would dramatically change. Filipinos rallied against these powers, drawing upon a blossoming sense of nation. Like its iconic dessert halo-halo, Filipino identity is not just one thing, but a fascinating union of traditions, cultures, and influences. For Filipinos abroad hungry to know more about their roots and identity, Centro Rizal is the best place to start. Often located in Philippine embassies, Centro Rizal is the Philippines' cultural center abroad. There are over 30 sites of Centro Rizal across the world. Centro Rizal offers a treasure trove of Filipiniana and holds activities that celebrate Philippine culture. It has training courses for volunteer teachers and lessons and books on rules in writing and spelling in the Filipino language. Centro Rizal also has books and multimedia materials about Filipino culture and arts.
Muslims in the country joined the rest of the world in celebrating Idil-Adha, or the Feast of Sacrifice. For this occasion, President Duterte called on all Filipinos to value submission to authority and work for the common good. Joyce Goodies with the story.
Muslims in Metro Manila woke up early on Sunday to observe Idil-Adha, or the Festival of the Sacrifice. Idil-Adha celebrates the willingness of the Prophet Ibrahim to obey Allah and sacrifice his son Ishmael. At the Carino Grandstand in the Rizal Park in Manila, Muslims gathered for the 7 a.m. prayers, which will be followed by the sermon of the Imam. At the Quezon Memorial Circle in Quezon City, men, women, and children dressed in their finest clothes arrived for the Idil-Adha. Cops from the Quezon City Police District were in the area to ensure peace and order, while vendors sold food items. Muslims also gathered for prayers at the Golden Mosque in Quiapo, Manila. In his Idil-Adha message released by Malacanang on Sunday, President Rodrigo Duterte urged the Filipino Muslims to embrace the value of submission to a higher authority. Duterte described the complete willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to offer the life of his beloved son in obedience to Allah's divine command as one of the most remarkable demonstrations of faith of all time. He also called on the Filipino people to work on endeavors that benefit the common good and the most number of people. Eid-al-Adha is one of the two greatest, most important holidays on the Muslim calendar. The other is Eid-al-Fitr, which marks the end of the holy fasting month of Ramadan. Eid-al-Adha lasts 4 days and celebrates the end of the Hajj, the annual pilgrimage by millions of Muslims around the world to Mecca. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Joyce Goodies.
Muslims in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao celebrated the first Eid al-Adha as a region. About 3,000 Muslim faithful gathered at the Barm compound in Cotabato City on Sunday for prayers, where Grand Mufti Udasan rallied the Bangsamoro to follow the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad in their daily life. In a message, Interim Chief Minister Ahod Murad Ibrahim called for moral governance and proactive stance on peace. The Chief Minister also called for personal sacrifice for all in the regional government. He stressed that President Duterte's commitment to correct historical injustices among the Bangsamoro was already enough to show his desire to have peace. Ibrahim also called on the Bangsamoro to pray for Muslims who are in a difficult situation all over the world. Several oil companies have announced a rollback on prices of their products effective Tuesday morning, August 13. PTT Philippines and Petrogas said diesel prices will be slashed off 1 peso and 10 centavos per liter and gasoline by 50 centavos per liter. Sea Oil meanwhile implemented a price rollback effective Sunday morning. It reduced gasoline price by 50 centavos per liter, diesel by 1 peso and 10 centavos per liter, and kerosene by 1 peso and 30 centavos per liter. These changes are in line with developments overseas. In our business news, the Luzon International Premier Airport Development Corporation is taking over the operations and maintenance of the Clark International Airport on August 16. Transport Secretary Arthur Tugade said the Clark International Airport Terminal 2 is ready to accommodate up to 4 million passengers early next year. Clark International Airport Corporation President Jaime Melo assured a smooth turnover of the airport's operation and maintenance. LIPAD, formerly North Luzon Airport Consortium, is composed of Changi Airports Philippines, Philinvest Development Corporation, JG Summit Holdings, and Philippine Airport Ground Support Solutions. The Clark International Airport Expansion Project is the first successful hybrid public-private partnership project under the Duterte administration. Clark currently hosts of 628 flights per week with an average of 90 flights daily. As of August 6, Clark catered a total of 2.4 million passengers. The Army holds an insurgency awareness campaign in Visayas to protect the youth from the influence of the CPP-NPA. Meanwhile, Bulacan declares the CPP-NPA as persona non grata. More on this from Joyce Goodies.
The Philippine Army's 61st Infantry Battalion conducted a peace symposium and insurgency awareness campaign to prevent young people from being deceived and recruited by the CPP-NPA-NDF. The campaigns have been done in 10 high schools in Iloilo and Capiz since it started in June this year. The Army vows to continue holding activities that enlighten the youth on social issues while keeping them away from communist movement and armed conflict. In South UP and Mindanao, over 100 indigenous students benefited from an outreach program organized by the women organization of Raha Mamalo descendants last Friday. The outreach program includes feeding, distribution of medicines, slippers, dental kits, and free haircut for 135 pupils. The school, which was named after tribal leader Timuay Andres Angias Tumbaga, was built through the efforts of the Luma Development Center and UNICEF through Balay non-government organization. In Davao del Norte, Education Secretary Lenore Briones visited the Nasilaban Integrated School in Talaingod to extend projects to the community. Briones pledged to put up a 3-story building with 9 classrooms, a dormitory, a solar panel project for electricity supply, and a rainwater collector. Briones got a chance to talk to the IP residents, teachers, and students to promise to solve the shortage of school buildings and the needs of the school children. Meanwhile, the province of Bulacan has declared the CPP-NPA-NDF as persona non grata. The provincial board made the declaration through a resolution approved during the third quarter joint meeting of the Provincial Peace and Order Council on Thursday. The resolution condemns the unlawful, illegal, and unauthorized activities committed by the CPP-NPA-NDF, recognizing them as a threat to peace and development. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Joyce Goodies.
Up next, about 4.1 million tourists entered the country in the first half of 2019. Water reserves in Angat and other dams increased after days of heavy rainfall. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Learn more about the People Power Revolution, a model of nonviolent regime change that other nations have emulated, or how Filipinos used egg whites mixed with lime as mortar for large stone blocks to build massive churches. Centro Rizal also organizes cultural and educational activities such as lectures, film showings, exhibits, performances, food festivals, and workshops. Centro Rizal's doors are also open to foreigners who are interested to know more about the Philippines, including its trade and tourism opportunities. The center is named for Philippine hero Dr. Jose Rizal, whose books No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo helped spark the Philippine Revolution against Spain. Rizal lived abroad for many years, but distance only fanned the flame of his love for country. Filipinos, like Rizal, can remain Filipino at heart, even as they make their home in other parts of the world. By keeping alive the ties of Filipinos overseas to their culture, Centro Rizal helps preserve the fabric of Philippine society. Visit Centro Rizal today to learn more about the Philippines and embrace your Filipino roots.
The Philippines, through the leadership of President Duterte, is committed to providing mobility and connectivity.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cebu Pacific welcomes you to Clark International Airport.
We've always believed in the potential of Clark as a gateway to northern Metro Manila, to central and northern Luzon, a hub with over 25 million residents.
For the first half of 2019, over 4.1 million international tourists visited the Philippines, marking an 11% increase from last year's figures. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the tourism sector has reached the 4 million mark within the first 6 months of the year. Puyat cited the new, rehabilitated, and expanded airports for contributing to the growth of tourism. She adds the country has sustained its growth in Southeast Asia by expanding its portfolio of tourism products and by developing and promoting emerging destinations. South Korea continues to be the top source market for tourists, with China coming in second. The US ranks third, followed by Japan and Taiwan. The Departments of Finance and Agriculture are set to implement an assistance program to help farmers adjust to low prices of palay due to the rice tariffication law. Affected farmers may avail of unconditional cash assistance by expanding the Survival and Recovery Program, or SURE, of the DA. The expansion of will also build on the good experience under the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Finance Chief Carlos Dominguez III said the assistance program is meant to help cushion the initial impact of rice tariffication on farmers. He said the Rice Competitive Enhancement Fund facility will help sharpen competitiveness of farmers through advancements in machinery, facilities, and farming techniques. Dominguez expects that tariff revenues from rice imports in 2019 will exceed 10 billion pesos and assure full funding of the RCEF. In our foreign news, thousands of Muslims turned out to observe the int'l in Norway on Sunday in the wake of a shooting a day before at a mosque in Bærum, west of Oslo. A 21-year-old Norwegian gunman entered the Al-Nur Islamic Center on Saturday afternoon and started shooting. One person in the mosque was wounded before the gunman was restrained and arrested. On Saturday night, the perpetrator's 17-year-old stepsister was found dead in his home in Bærum. The suspect was charged with murder of his younger stepsister and attempted murder in the mosque. Police were investigating the shooting as an attempted terrorist attack. Thousands gathered outside the ICC mosque in Oslo during the morning prayer. Many locals, including government officials, joined the ring around the mosque to show their solidarity with the Muslims. For her part, Norwegian Prime Erna Solberg called on everyone to fight hatred and anti-Muslim attitudes. With the return of the displaced residents of Marawi City, the government has started identifying and attending to those planning to rent spaces in the city's most affected area. Sweet Lukman with the story.
The Task Force Bangon Marawi has started the Katanor profiling for renters from the most affected areas, specifically those who are from Bubunga Lilod Madaya, Kapantaran, Lumbaka Madaya, and Sangkay Dansalan. The profiling aims to register the residents and business renters in Maa who have settled in Marawi before the siege and who do not own the land and or dwelling of location and are engaged in business. The residence renters include those families or households who are permanent residents of Marawi or who have settled in Marawi but do not own a parcel of land at Maa. The business renters, on the other hand, include those families or households who were renting spaces or buildings for their business establishments at Maa prior to the siege and who are included in the master list of renters. Utilizing biometric features, the Katanor profiling for renters is based on a master list submitted by the local government units of Marawi. The list of the requirements needed for the profiling of renters are as follows.
Yung residence renters, ibig sabihin kung yung pamilya mo nag-upa ka sa isang bahay na may-ari, yun ipo-profile ka doon. Pero kailangan yung buong pamilya ang nag-uupa. Kung ikaw lang nag-uupa sa maliit na kwarto, hindi ka considered na family renter. Then yung may business, yung nag-uupa ka ng commercial stall, nagbabayad ka ng upa.
Ramona Palagawad of Bubunga Lilod Madaya is optimistic that Katanor will help them gain livelihood opportunities in the future.
Sa wakas, nakapag-biometric na rin ang mga renter. Maraming salamat talaga. Malaking tulong na rin sa amin yung ganitong nakapag-profile na kami. Makakuha kami ng mga pangkuhunan namin. For queries and concerns, coordinate with the TFBM hotlines 0921-468-3930 or 0966-355-9652. For PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Angat Dam's water level increased by nearly a centimeter as of this morning's readings. Pag-asa said the dam's level was at 175.10 meters, which is lower than its minimum operating level of 180 meters and far from the 210 meters normal high water level. Ang Buklaw Dam's level reached 751.70 meters, which is slightly close to its normal level of 752 meters. Ipo Dam, La Mesa Dam, and other dams such as Binga, San Roque, Pantabangan, Magat, and Caliraya also showed slight increases in water levels. Meanwhile, Laguna de Bay's water level has exceeded its normal quantity of 11.35 meters. The Laguna Lake Development Authority said the lake is now at 11.77 meters, thus recovering from its critical level of 10.79 meters in April. In our weather outlook, Ilocos Region, Cordillera, Batanes, Babuyan Group of Islands, Zambales, Bataan, and Occidental Mindoro will have cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms due to habagat. The rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some isolated rains or thunderstorms, mostly in the afternoon or evening. Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The government hits lawmakers Teddy Casiño and Sara Elago for defending the recruitment of students and minors by leftist groups. The PNP cites the drop in the crime rate as a sign that the government's war on drugs is successful. President Duterte calls on Filipinos to value submission to authority as the Muslim community celebrates Eid-ul-Adha. And about 4.1 million tourists entered the country in the first half of 2019. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. Check out these and other stories. Check PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags on all our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Rom Dulfo. Good day.